We're back, folks. This is the More Money Show. Thanks again for joining on this one of the last weekends in July and what we call the dog days of summer. I am so pleased and honored to have as my next guest Bob Nardelli. Bob has been a regular on this show. He is back by popular demand because what he is like E.F. Hutton. What Bob Nardelli says, people listen because his bio. He was the CEO of Home Depot. He was the CEO of Chrysler. He was the number 2 guy to Jack Welch at GE. So learn from the very, very best. He's one of the smartest guys I know on business. Bob, thanks for joining.
Steve, thanks. You're always so kind with that introduction. It's great to be with you on Saturday afternoon.
Well, thanks again for joining. And you've been all over the world. I've been trying to get in touch with you. And every time I try to reach you, you're here, there, or everywhere because you're still so involved in business. My first question for you, Bob, is I don't know if you were listening earlier, but I was talking about all the things that are going well in the economy. The fact that, we're beating the pants off China over the last 15 years. Our stock market has gone up multiple times faster than theirs has. The fact that we have more millionaires in this country than all the rest of the world combined. The fact that earnings for American companies have been really good this quarter. They're coming in at a jumbo size, which is good because we want our companies to make money so they can continue to hire and for the shareholders. And then the jobs numbers have been pretty good too. A record low number of people have been laid off, which means, that we actually have a shortage of workers today, not jobs. And yet, Bob, here's the conundrum. People are not happy. If you look at the polls, consumer sentiment is down, down, down. What do you think explains that?
Yeah. Well, Steve, I think you make a bunch of wonderful points there. I would say, as we were talking, the economy is showing very resilient. It's very resilient, as evidenced in the market. If you look at the Dow and the performance there, I think the business leaders we have today have certainly, demonstrating their ability, their adaptability, their agility. I remember at the start of the year, there was, we were kind of paralyzed a little bit, tariffs, et cetera. But boy, just as you said, look at the banks, right? Just unbelievable performance. I think the speed of response is what's really driving these companies. The earnings, as you say, are strong. People have got their heads down, but their antennas are up. They're up high because they need to be. So you can't wait for the end of the month or the quarter longer. You need to be looking at your business by the hour, day, and you need to anticipate what might happen. Good with that, you may get a surprise. I still think we've got a really strong economy, and as long as people don't try to damage it, we're in good shape. The only concern I have that I share with you and your audience is, as you say, I am traveling the world. I just got back from the International Air Show over in London at Farnborough, and boy, if you looked at that attendance, you think, oh my God, things are really great for sure. Really, really great. But supply chain is what concerns me a little bit, particularly if you think about the heavy castings that are out there, some of the higher volume. If you look at Boeing and Airbus are getting back to, pre-COVID levels, that's really good. But it's straining the supply chain. In many cases, I'm seeing, 60, 70% performance to schedules with them. Well, at the other side, we've got to deliver, 99.9% to our customers. So that's the only thing I would keep an eye on, Steve.
So, the great points. One question I had you, because you're involved in so many companies. I know you're on the board of some of the major companies in America and are following what our great corporations are doing. How much are companies using AI? Because I've been, I know people are a little bit afraid of AI. They're worried about, what this means for their jobs, and they worry about robotics. Will a robot take my job? And yet I always say, Bob, this is happening. It's not a question of whether we're going to have AI and robotics. It's whether we're going to lead the way, or will China. So my question for you, in the companies that you're involved in and that you're investing in, are they using AI, and are they using it efficiently?
Yeah. And the answer is absolutely. I'll give you an example. I've got a chairman of a company down in Dallas, and we supply, Boeing, Airbus, et cetera, all of the OE manufacturers. And I think there's a misconception out there what AI is, what it can do, and how it could be utilized. we have something like 15 or 16 AI agents that are very focused and well bounded so they don't get out of control. But in one case, it took us 4 weeks to develop it, and we saw a $13 to $15 million savings.
Wow.
In the other place,
so they're just, I want to make sure I understand. So these AI applications are making the companies more efficient.
No question about it. I mean, when you think about 1.2 billion transactions, and you have a lot of paper being shuffled, particularly when you're serving government. And so the ability to streamline that, number one. Number two, when we get these requests for quotes, a lot of it had been manual, Steve. And right now, we've gone from a 14% conversion rate to a 43% conversion rate by just putting in some simple AI agents.
So, sorry about to interrupt, but what does that mean, a conversion rate? What does that mean?
Yeah, so our hit rate, in other words, we get a request for quote before, people would be handling paper. I call it, they would sneaker net, right? Paper's running all across the office. And now the agent interprets the request. It looks at inventory. We know what we paid. We know what the price is. So we're able to respond in minutes versus hours. And the faster you respond, particularly if you have an AOG, asset on ground for the airline industry, the first to respond is the first that gets the order. So AI agents, let's not be afraid of them. Let's control them. Let's use them. We won't be doing ERPs anymore. They're too expensive, too long, and they don't give you the speed and agility that we need today's market, Steve.
So, Bob, I remember, I'm old enough, I think you are old enough too, to when they brought in this whole idea. I think Federal Express and Home Depot and others had this just-in-time inventory. Well, this is like just-in-time inventory times 10, right?
Exactly. And yeah, we did many things. Some of it was because of government regulations and policies. I never had an offshoring strategy, but I had to compete globally when I was running GE Power Systems, now GE Vernova. And so we did do that. But now I'm really encouraged with this administration for onshoring or nearshoring. Those are two different things. But we're back where, we have wartime stability here in our manufacturing capabilities. I'm working on that with the Department of War in some cases. And it's really exciting to see the repatriation that's going on today in our country, Steve.
I love it. By the way, folks, I'm talking to Bob Nardelli. Bob was the former CEO of many companies, including Home Depot. Would you say, Bob, just overall, generally speaking, how are we doing in this race against China? We're certainly, as I said, our stock market over the last 15 years has way outpaced theirs. But how do you feel like we're doing in the race against China?
I think we're making tremendous progress. If you just look at some of the industries that I'm very close to, energy, the ability to be self-sufficient with energy. Just look at, again, I said GE Vernova stock over 1,000. Another energy provider you don't think about is Caterpillar, stock over $1,000 at one point. If you look at A&D, aerospace and defense.
Wait, which company was that? Was that Caterpillar?
Caterpillar. Yeah.
By the way, when I went to I don't know if you know this, I visited a data center last week, and I was, those are amazing things. I'm sure you've probably visited data centers too. If you ever get a chance to do it, folks, they're just, technological marvels. But I was impressed by how much of the machinery was Caterpillar. Yeah,
there's no question, because if you think about, GE Vernova backlog is out to 2030. So Caterpillar steps in with their diesel reciprocating engines. Put those out there, and they're pumping energy into those data centers. And speaking of data centers, we talk a lot about data centers, but let's not lose sight of Michael Dell's stock, because he's putting the heart inside that building, right? He's putting in the processors that make that data center successful. And then if you look at aerospace and defense, huge opportunities there. Multiples are trading 14 to 18 times. It's really strong. I mean, the only thing.
Well, Bob, we have to take a break. Bob, you are just filled with great information for us and an uplifting message. So thank you so much for joining. We'd love to have you on in the next couple of weeks, because we learned so much from you, folks. This is the More Money Show. We will be right back.